Heartwarming turnaround. Millionaire's daughter cries on a plane until an incredible librarian reaches out. Jenna stood in the bustling terminal of Los Angeles International Airport, her designer luggage in tow, feeling like a ghost haunting a glittering palace. Surrounded by travelers, each absorbed in their own world, she felt alarmingly out of place. For a privileged daughter of a real estate mogul, she should feel secure, yet the impending merger of her father's empire made her heart race for all the wrong reasons. If this deal went through, her whole life, the legacy, the family name would crumble. With her chest tightened, she tried to breathe, but the weight of expectation felt suffocating. Tears brimming in her eyes, she braced herself for boarding. As she settled into her window seat on the plane, the hum of engines drowned out the chaos swirling in her mind. All the money in the world couldn't buy her happiness if they lost everything she ever identified with. The shivers ran down her spine. A gentle squeeze of warmth brushed her hand, and she blinked, locking eyes with the kindest stranger who sat beside her, a librarian named Rose. The contrast couldn't be more stark. Here was a woman who carried the world in her purse, not in her bank account, filled with warmth instead of weight. "Are you okay?" Rose asked softly, concern etching her features. Jenna's breath hitched. Instead of the hollow platitude she expected, Rose's sincerity opened a door inside her. Taking Rose's hand felt like reaching for a lifeline. So, she poured out her fears about the merger, about her worth, about being lost in a gilded cage. As the plane lifted off, the ground disappearing beneath them, Jenna's tears poured freely. She held up the stark contrast of their worlds, Rose's humble existence, raised solely on the grit of perseverance and community love, stood juxtaposed to her own life of glittering facades. Jenna's resentment bubbled. She had it all but felt like a shadow. Rose's life might not sparkle, but it glowed with authenticity. With every word, Rose shared enchanting tales of her small Nebraska town, where connections thrived over materialism. It challenged everything Jenna thought she knew. Rose didn't just survive, she thrived on community. Finally, Jenna found herself at a crucial crossroad when the plane hit turbulence, each jolt mirroring her internal turmoil. Would she embrace her father's legacy, chasing ephemeral success, or would she carve her own path away from the gilded cage? As they began to descend, Jenna's heart raced, but suddenly it wasn't anxiety she felt. Rose held her gaze steady, and in that moment, Jenna realized something profound. True wealth is found in community, not currency, she murmured, tears of clarity spilling down her cheeks. The airport chaos awaited them, but Jenna felt a newfound peace wash over her, like the calm after a storm. Just then, she pulled out her phone, inspired. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With those thoughts swirling, she wiped her tears and typed a heartfelt message, reflecting their shared journey. Would this be enough? Yet her gaze fell on Rose again. A spark ignited within. What if Jenna initiated a program to support local libraries back home? The idea shimmered with promise, bridging her world of privilege with the essence surrounding Rose. Her heart pounded, hanging in the balance. Would she take this leap of faith? As the wheels touched the tarmac, Jenna stared out the window, the world unfolding, uncertain but beckoning her to write her next chapter. Jenna stepped off the plane, her designer heels clacking against the terminal floor like the ticking of a clock. Each sound pulsed in time with her racing heart. The chaos around her felt different now, no longer drowning, but alive with possibility. She clutched her phone, the vibrant thought of community dancing in her head. What kind of change could she spark? As she navigated through the throngs of travelers, the chatter and laughter felt like electric waves against her skin. It was a stark contrast to the isolation she had wrapped around her for so long. But then, Her thoughts drifted back to Rose. The librarian's soothing presence had drawn out a spark of hope in Jenna, a light she hadn't realized she'd been missing. "Mom, I'm back," she called out when she finally spotted her mother at the arrival's gate. Elegant as ever, her mother looked at Jenna with that familiar mix of love and anticipation. But Jenna noticed something more, a hint of worry behind her smile. "Sweetheart. I was starting to get worried," her mom said, pulling her into a tight embrace. "How was the trip?" Words bubbled on Jenna's lips, but she hesitated. Should she share everything she felt? About Rose, the questions that lingered, and the dreams stirring within her. Would her mother understand? The gilded cage loomed large between them. It was good," Jenna finally said, closing her eyes briefly. It felt like a lie and she hated herself for it. "Oh, that's nice. You must tell us all about it tonight. Your father is excited to see you. We've got a big family dinner planned." The thought of the dinner made anxiety churn in her stomach. The last thing she wanted was to sit at a lavish table, discussing business deals and social status. Instead, all she could think about was Rose's small-town library, brimming with community and connection. "Can we talk, just the two of us?" Jenna suggested, surprising herself with the boldness in her voice. "Of course, honey. Let us grab some coffee first." At a quiet cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Jenna took a deep breath, pouring her heart out. She shared her encounter with Rose, her feelings of entrapment, and the idea of starting a local library initiative. Her mother listened intently, her brows furrowing with concern and pride at the same time. "Jenna, this is unexpected," her mother said carefully. "Is it a bad idea?" Jenna's voice trembled with vulnerability. "No, sweetheart, it's just different. We come from a long line of builders, and this," she gestured vaguely, "this is, well, not what we're used to. But maybe that's the point. Maybe I don't want to be just another cog in the machine. I want to give back, to connect." Her mother's expression softened, the tension in her shoulders easing. "You have a good heart. Just be careful. People might not understand." Jenna nodded, swallowing her disappointment. Why couldn't they see the potential blossoming within her? As they sipped their coffees in silence, an idea sparked in her mind, a plan. An infusion of funds to strengthen libraries, connecting her world of privilege with the needs of the community. That evening, as they gathered around the lavish dining table, she watched her father discuss his upcoming merger. The usual chatter about money and power filled the air, but Jenna remained silent, her mind racing. Would they respect her choice if she pursued this initiative? As the conversation flowed around her, Jenna resolved to find the courage to present her idea. But what if they dismissed it? And what if they laughed? She felt the tension build again, weighing heavy in her chest. Could she step into her truth, no matter the outcome? The moment felt pivotal. A spark had ignited, but could it sustain the fire within her? As everyone around her continued their discussions, Jenna clenched her fists under the table, determination swirling in her heart. What if I stood up and spoke my truth? She thought, the familiar knot in her stomach tightening. And then the doorbell rang, cutting through her thoughts. Who could it be? With a mix of excitement and anxiety, Jenna exchanged glances with her mother. "Let us see," her mom said, standing up. Jenna's heart raced. What if this was a sign? As she followed her mother toward the door, each step felt heavier with anticipation. Would it lead to the change she yearned for or confirm her fears? There was no way to know. The moment of truth awaited just beyond the door. As her mother pulled open the door, Jenna held her breath, almost expecting someone with a bursting grin or a dramatic tale to tell. But standing in the doorway was Mrs. Thompson, the neighborhood's longtime mail carrier, her hands cradling a handful of letters, slightly crinkled by the time they spent in transit. "Hi, dear. I know it's a bit of a surprise, but I thought you'd appreciate some personal delivery. These came for you while you were away, she said, a smile breaking across her weathered face. Jenna's heart sank for a quick moment. Personal delivery was rarely a good sign. Nevertheless, she stepped forward, reached for the letters, and thanked Mrs. Thompson. Don't forget, we have that charity bake sale coming up at the library next weekend. Mrs. Thompson added cheerfully, her voice a warm thread in the air. I can't wait to see what new ideas you bring to the community. Jenna felt a glimmer of encouragement washing over her at the mention of the library. I'll be there, she promised, her voice steadier than before. After Mrs. Thompson left, the atmosphere shifted. Jenna felt the spark inside her flickering, urged on by a world where connection and drawing people together was possible. She busied herself with the letters, tearing open the first envelope. It was from her childhood friend, now living abroad. It held familiar memories and a sprinkle of nostalgia. But as she continued to sift through the stack, she noticed a letter with no return address. The handwriting looked delicate and intentional. Curiosity took her over and she opened it carefully. Dear Jenna, it began, I don't know if you remember me, but I've been watching you grow from afar. Your journey sounds like a brave one, and I want to encourage you to follow your heart. Change feels scary, but it can bring light you never knew you needed. Jenna reread those lines. It was simple but potent. Someone believed in her, even if they were a stranger. She caught her mother glancing her way, confusion painted on her face, but Jenna felt the warmth of possibilities surround her. The evening dinner felt less suffocating now, a chance to share what truly mattered instead of conforming to expectation. Mom, Jenna finally began, hesitating just a moment, I've been thinking about my initiative, that library project. I want to make a real pitch tonight. Her mother gave her a cautious smile. That sounds wonderful, dear. But remember, it might not be well received, or they might try to steer you back. Maybe. But what if I took that risk? After all, that's part of connecting with people, right? Sharing my truth. Like the letter says. Jenna took a deep breath, the words forcing their way out. I want to show them that changing the world doesn't always mean building skyscrapers or closing big deals. A proud smile spread across her mother's face, and Jenna felt a shared sense of hope. Perhaps tonight would be the night she reclaimed her narrative, the one she felt slipping through her fingers. Time seemed to stand still until finally, they ushered Jenna into the dining room, the atmosphere buzzing with chatter. Jenna's palms grew clammy as she scanned the room, catching brief glances of her father passionately explaining his merger. She realized now she had a choice to make, should she take that step forward and risk it all? As she settled into her seat, the soft clinking of silverware and the echo of laughter surrounded her, and every moment stretched as she considered how to weave her dream into the fabric of their rich conservations. What if she stood up right now, amid the power players and their business chatter? What if she told them what ignited her spirit? As she wrestled with her thoughts, the tension thickened in the air, and just then, her father turned to her, his gaze piercing through the noise. Jenna, we didn't forget about you. We want to hear all about your trip. Tell us, what did you learn out there? His question hung in the air like an invitation, drawing every eye toward her. It was now or never. With her heart pounding in her chest, Jenna knew it was time to speak. But one question gripped her mind, clutching her tightly in its grasp: would they listen? The moment hung in the air, pregnant with expectation. Jenna could feel the eyes of her family bore into her, waiting, wanting. Yet a riptide of anxiety pulled her back, fear swirling in her stomach like a storm. She glanced at her father, his features softened but firm, and then at her mother, whose smile was full of encouragement, but with a hint of worry layered beneath it. Dad, Jenna began, her voice barely above a whisper at first, barely scraping the surface of her truth. But then she inhaled deeply, her lungs filling with resolve. I've been thinking a lot about what matters to me. Not just out there, she gestured vaguely as if to encompass the whole world she had explored, but right here. In our community. The table fell silent, the clinking of cutlery fading into the background. The weight of silence wrapped around her like a warm blanket, both comforting and stifling. She pushed forward. I've been inspired by so many things. I saw the ways people connected over books, ideas, shared stories. I want to create a program at the library. Something that brings us together, not just as neighbors, but as friends. Her words started to find a rhythm, and she could see the spark of curiosity in her mother's eyes. But her father still looked skeptical. And what would that involve? Jenna felt a tremor in her voice as she shared her vision, detailing workshops for all ages, reading hours for kids, and even community events where families could share their own stories. Each idea ignited something within her, lifting her as if she were floating along with the possibilities. But, honey, her father interjected smoothly, this sounds lovely, truly. But do you really think that your program could compete with the sort of things happening in corporate sponsorships? You might need funding beyond just goodwill. She hesitated, perfecting the words in her mind. But she couldn't let the doubts loom larger than the dreams. It's not just about the money, Dad. And it's not about competing. It's about building relationships, connecting people in a way that changes lives, starting with our own. For a heartbeat, uncertainty danced across her father's face, like a cloud passing before the sun. But Jenna pressed on, eager to maintain the sunlight. Change happens at the community level, and sometimes simple ideas ignite the most significant shifts. Silence wrapped around her, thick and heavy. She caught her mother's gaze, a soft fire sparking wisdom in her eyes. That flicker of understanding radiated as Jenna continued to lay out her heart on the table honestly, undeterred by potential rejection. I want to create a space where everyone feels valued. Discussions, laughter, maybe even tears. Just like the letter said, change can bring so much light. To her right, she noticed Aunt Margaret's lips parting slightly, surprised but slowly nodding with approval. The warmth of budding acceptance rose in Jenna's chest, buoying her spirit. And what if it doesn't work? Her father finally ventured, his tone softer than before. Jenna met his gaze, the resolve in her heart burning hotter. What if it does? What if this could bring people together in a way we've never seen? I think taking that leap is worth it. The murmurs around the table began to shift, tiny sparks igniting her family's imagination. Jenna could see gears turning in their minds, seeds of hope sprouting into flat-out possibilities. But just as she began to savor the moment of recognition, the doorbell rang out, interrupting the delicate flow of emotion. A pang of uncertainty slid through her heart, mirroring the disturbance in the room. Who could that be? Her mother asked, glancing toward the door, confusion knitting her brow. Jenna's stomach dropped, a feeling of foreboding creeping in. What if this visitor spoiled the fragile unity they were building? Maybe it's someone from the foundation. Aunt Margaret suggested. Or even the bake sale. The door creaked open, and just as Jenna was about to stand and find out, she realized she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever awaited them on the other side held its own significance. Her heart raced. Had this opening of her truth invited something new and unforeseen into her life? Let us see, Jenna said, her heart dancing between hope and uncertainty as she gathered the courage to face whatever lay ahead. Would this visitor change everything she just began to build? Jenna stepped toward the door, her breath catching in her throat as she gripped the doorknob. She felt a mixture of excitement and dread. What was about to unfold felt monumental, like a turning point in her life. As she swung the door open, it revealed a tall figure cloaked in a long coat, the kind that might look intimidating in another context. But there was warmth in the stranger's eyes, and a familiar scent of fresh coffee wafted through the air. It was a woman in her late 30s, with soft waves of auburn hair spilling from under a lilac beanie. A small smile danced across her lips. "Hello. I'm sorry to interrupt," she said. "I hope this isn't an inconvenient time." Jenna blinked, struck by the earnestness in the woman's tone. "Not at all. Can I help you?" "You can call me Clara," she said, stepping slightly closer as she held out a card. "I heard there might be something special happening here tonight, something about community." Her heart raced. Clara's voice had a musical quality, mingling curiosity with a subtle call to connect. Jenna's family hovered behind her, their collective interest palpable. "We were just having a discussion about a community program I want to start at the library," Jenna admitted, feeling a swell of courage. Clara's eyes lit up. "That's wonderful. I'm passionate about community initiatives myself. I have a few ideas and connections that might help." The warmth in Jenna's chest expanded as she welcomed Clara inside. As Jenna introduced her to the family, she felt the barriers of her father's skepticism starting to crumble. Clara radiated charisma and understanding, drawing everyone into conversation like a moth to light. They gathered around the table, Jenna excitedly recounted her vision for the library, while Clara interjected with insight, offering suggestions that felt as if they were emerging right from Jenna's own dreams. Clara spoke about potential collaborations with local artists and schools, introducing events that catered to various interests, from story times to art exhibitions. "This is how change happens," Clara said, her hands animated, "by weaving together the fabric of our community, one thread at a time." Jenna caught her father's expression as he leaned in, listening intently. The skepticism that once marred his face had softened into a genuine interest. Aunt Margaret chimed in about organizing book drives, and her mother, inspired by Clara's enthusiasm, shared her ideas for parent-child workshops. Suddenly, the conversation melded into a vibrant tapestry of laughter and brainstorming. Jenna felt buoyed by the synergy, as if, for the first time, all the pieces of her dream were falling into place. Then, Jenna noticed Clara's gaze shifting as her smile faltered. "I'm sorry. I did mean to come here just to offer some support. I hope I'm not overstepping." "No, not at all." Jenna insisted, perhaps a bit too quickly. "You're exactly what we need." Clara hesitated, her vibrant energy dimming slightly. "There's something else I should mention." The hush settled just as quickly, the family's focus folding into her tightly. "What is it?" Jenna asked, unable to hide the anxious tremor in her voice. "I've faced some obstacles recently," Clara began slowly, her eyes glistening. "I lost my job when the funding got pulled for various outreach programs. It's hard to keep going sometimes, to fight through the shadows." There it was, a glimmer of vulnerability filtered through Clara's composed veneer. Jenna's heart stretched, understanding the weight of the unspoken struggles. They were building a bridge, one born from shared pain and hope. "Still, I believe in what we're trying to create together," Clara continued, her voice stronger now. "Just like you, I want to help bring people together. I just often wonder if I have enough to give anymore." The raw honesty reverberated through the room. Jenna could feel the collective breath of her family as they processed Clara's words. There had been doubt, yes, but the shared connection propelled them forward. "I know we can make this work," Jenna said, her tone solid. "We'll be in this together." "You're not alone, Clara." The atmosphere shifted, lights illuminating the beginning of something beautiful. As Clara smiled softly, a hint of hope flickered back into her eyes. But before they could delve deeper, the doorbell rang again, jarring the fragile moment. Who could that be now? Aunt Margaret asked, brows raised. Jenna's heart pounded. Was there another twist waiting on the threshold? Each knock sounded like destiny calling her name. What if it's more good news? Clara mused, her gaze shining with intrigue. Jenna felt the world tilt on its axis, fresh anticipation coursing through her veins. "Let us find out," Jenna said, stepping back toward the door, her heart pounding with hope and curiosity as she reached for the handle once more. What awaited her next could change everything again. Jenna turned the handle and swung the door wide open, bracing herself for whatever or whoever stood on the other side. The night air was crisp and full of promise, but what she found made her heart drop. A young girl, perhaps 9 or 10, stood timidly on the porch. Her dark brown hair hung in messy curls, framing a face that had seen too much for someone of her age. Tears glistened on her cheeks, catching the faint porch light. "I'm sorry," she whimpered, sniffling. Can I come in?" In that moment, Jenna felt a rush of urgency. "Of course," she said, instinctively reaching out her hand. The girl took it hesitantly, and Jenna pulled her inside, quickly closing the door behind them, shielding the girl from the night outside. Clara was the first to notice the newcomer. "Oh, sweetheart, what's wrong?" she asked gently, kneeling to the girl's level. The girl wiped her tears, looking around at the gathering. I got lost," she said, her voice quavering. "My mom told me to wait for her by the store, but then I didn't see her." Jenna felt a pang in her chest. "What's your name?" she asked softly. "Lily." "Okay, Lily," Jenna said, kneeling beside Clara. "Can you tell us where you last saw your mom?" "By the library," Lily said, her eyes wide. "She said she'd be right back. I thought I could find her, but I couldn't." The flicker of fear in Lily's eyes mirrored Jenna's own childhood feelings of worry and frustration. Without thinking, Jenna put her arm around Lily's shoulder. "You did the right thing coming here. We're going to figure this out together." "Is she in trouble?" Lily asked, her small voice trembling. Jenna shook her head, but the weight of uncertainty hung in the air. "Let's give it a few moments," Jenna said, looking at her family and Clara, who both nodded in agreement. "We can call the library, or we can go find her." Clara grabbed her phone, ready to help, while Aunt Margaret rushed off to the kitchen, perhaps hoping to gather snacks to comfort the frightened child. Jenna watched Lily, who was now looking at the ground, fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "Hey, want to see something cool?" Jenna asked, trying to distract her. She led Lily to the living room where the light spilled warmly, illuminating the bookshelves packed with stories waiting to be discovered. "Do you like reading?" Lily nodded slowly. "Sometimes. I like the ones with magic. We have a whole section of magical books. Let me show you some. Maybe you'll find a favorite," Jenna said, her enthusiasm bubbling through the tension. The change in Lily's expression was immediate. Jenna watched a flicker of hope break through the fear, and she couldn't help but smile as they moved towards the bookcase. Just then, Clara's phone rang, slicing through the moment. "Hello." Clara spoke, her tone serious. She listened intently, and Jenna's heart raced, wondering if it was news about Lily's mother. Yes, Clara replied, glancing at Jenna with wide eyes. "We have her here." "Yes, we'll wait." As Clara hung up, Jenna felt her stomach twist. "What is it?" she asked. "Your mom is on her way, Lily," Clara said, her voice soothing. "She's just been delayed at the library but will be here shortly." Relief washed over Lily's face like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Really?" "Really," Jenna affirmed, squeezing Lily's hand. But suddenly, more heavy footsteps sounded at the door. Jenna's heart raced again, unsure of which twist awaited her. A moment later, the door swung open to reveal a frantic woman, eyes wide with worry. "Lily!" she cried, rushing inside, her voice trembling with both relief and panic. Jenna stepped back, the realization dawning that the night had just shifted into a whirlwind of emotions. Clara and Jenna shared a look, a silent agreement that the mission was turning into more than they'd anticipated. Now, it felt personal. "Mom!" Lily ran to the woman, collapsing into her arms. Tears flowed freely as the mother held her tight. Jenna felt warmth blooming in her chest. Wasn't this what they had wanted to build? A community? A place where no one felt lost or alone. But at that moment, the world outside faded. Jenna felt like she had crossed a threshold into something bigger than herself. The knock of fate, perhaps, setting the night's course. Standing amidst the embrace, she dared to wonder, what would tomorrow hold? And just as her mind wandered off, she caught Clara's eye again, both women sensing the powerful shift waiting on the horizon. The connection had deepened, but could it sustain the next challenge that loomed ahead? Jenna took a step back, her heart swelling as she watched Lily be enveloped in her mother's arms. The sight brought tears to her own eyes as pure relief washed over the small living room. The mother's face was a mix of raw anxiety and overwhelming gratitude. Jenna could hardly imagine how the woman had felt, thinking her daughter was lost. She wanted to dive deeper into that moment, to soak in the warmth that buzzed in the air. But another feeling nagged at her. "Are you okay?" Jenna asked the mother, her voice soft as she stepped closer again. The woman nodded, though her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "I'm just so relieved. Thank you for taking care of her." There was a sincerity in her words that struck Jenna deeply. "Of course. We were worried," Jenna said, stealing glances at Lily who was clinging to her mother with all her might. "We just wanted her to be safe." At that, the mother finally seemed to take stock of the entire room, noticing the warm light, the bookshelves, and the gathered family. It was a different world from the one she'd been trapped in moments earlier. "Thank you all for being here," she said, her voice shaking slightly. I'm Rachel. You have no idea how much this means to me." As Rachel spoke, Aunt Margaret returned with a plate of cookies and warm milk, her kindness spilling over in droves. "Here, dear. Have a seat. You and Lily need some comfort after this scare." "I don't want to leave Mom's side," Lily whispered, then looked up at her mother, her voice trembling again. "I was scared." Rachel brushed a tear from Lily's cheek, leaning down to meet her eye level. "I know, sweetheart. But you're safe now. I'm sorry it took me so long. I should come back for you right away." The honesty in Rachel's apology pierced through the room, deepening the bond already forming. Jenna watched, feeling the gravity of that moment. It had the power to heal wounds both old and new, not just for Lily, but perhaps for Rachel too. "I promise, I won't let you out of my sight again. Next time, we will stay together," Rachel said, squeezing Lily's hand gently. But as the comfort settled, Jenna's curiosity began to bloom. She wondered what had delayed Rachel so long. The question hovered silently, but it felt inappropriate to ask during this fragile moment. Suddenly, a loud crash from outside broke through the scene. The noise sent a shiver down Jenna's spine. The calm that had settled in the house dissipated like mist in the sun, replaced by sudden anxiety. Clara shot Jenna a worried glance. "Should we check that?" Clara asked, her brow furrowed. "I think I should see," Rachel said, her voice now tinged with concern for Lily, who instinctively clutched her mother's shirt tighter. Jenna straightened, instinctively ready to act. "I'll go. I'll take a quick look outside and come back. Just wait here." Before she stepped out, a thought struck her. Something deep inside urged her not just to watch, but to confront whatever was throwing the safety of the night into turmoil. Jenna opened the door slowly, heart pounding anew as she ventured out into the darkness. The night air held a chill that wrapped around her like a blanket, and she squinted, trying to see through the shadows. But what lay ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty, and within that uncertainty, Jenna felt the stirrings of something bigger, the possibility of the night spiraling into chaos. What awaited her outside? Where was the source of the crash? Fear mingled with anticipation, pressing against her throat. Just as she stepped foot outside, the shadows shifted again, and she realized she was standing on the brink of discovery. Should she go back or press forward into the unknown? The choice felt heavy, yet exhilarating. The night had changed again, and Jenna had a feeling this was just the beginning of something much larger than she could have ever anticipated. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the stillness, slicing the night air like a knife. Jenna froze. It came from the shadows just a few feet away, where the trees loomed ominously. Her pulse quickened, each thump in her chest rising with the urge to run back inside. But before fear could take charge, her curiosity pushed her forward, inch by inch. "Hello?" she called out, her voice cutting through the tension like a beacon. The growling intensified, a chilling sound that made her skin prickle. Daring to take another step, she peered deeper into the darkness, straining her eyes to make out any shapes lurking beyond the reach of the porch light. Then she saw it, a figure, partially hidden, backlit by the fading light of the horizon. It was tall and thin, crouched low as if poised to leap. The fear threatened to engulf her, but she couldn't shake the feeling that it was just a frightened animal. "Come on, show yourself," Jenna whispered, willing the world to stop spinning around her like a page caught in a gust of wind. The creature shifted, revealing itself as a dog, a scruffy border collie with matted fur and wild eyes. Relief flooded her veins, only for it to morph into concern as she noticed the dog's trembling legs. It was clear he was lost, like Lily had been just moments ago. "Hey there, buddy." Jenna knelt down slowly, keeping her voice calm. The dog flinched at her movement but didn't run away. "You must be scared. I won't hurt you." With cautious movements, she reached out her hand, palm up, allowing the creature to sniff her. Jenna felt a spark of connection. Beneath the anxiety, there was a flicker of trust. Just then, a rustling in the bushes caught her attention. Jenna's heart raced again, this time with the fear of something else appearing. But as she turned to look, the nearby shadow shifted again, and out stepped a young man, his hands raised defensively. "Wait!" he called out, voice shaking. "I'm not here to hurt you." Jenna took a step back, surprised at his sudden presence. "Who are you?" she demanded, her words sharp yet laced with the warmth of concern for the dog still hovering near her feet. "My name's Ethan," he stammered. "I saw this dog wandering through the neighborhood. I think he got lost." He swallowed hard, his posture softening as he eyed the collie. "I tried to coax him, but he wouldn't follow." The tension in Jenna's shoulders eased a bit. At least this wasn't some danger lurking in the bushes. "I think he's scared. He probably just needs some reassurance. Can you help me?" Ethan nodded, and together they approached the dog slowly. Jenna felt something shift between them, a shared purpose, and realized how odd it was to feel connected to someone she had just met under such strange circumstances. The air felt charged with an unspoken bond of empathy. As they worked together to coax the dog, the night began to peel away its layers of fear, revealing kindness and hope instead. The little creature soon relaxed, nuzzling close to Ethan, letting Jenna comb her fingers through its tangled fur. "What is he doing out here alone?" Jenna asked, glancing at Ethan, her previous worry giving way to curiosity. "I don't know. I've seen him hanging around the neighborhood for a few days, but I thought it was just a stray. He's lost much like someone else I know." His eyes met hers, and they both shared a moment of understanding that cut deeper than words. What hidden stories were lurking beyond the trees, entwined in this night's unfolding drama? As they pondered this, another crash echoed in the distance, maybe not too far off. Both turned abruptly, dread creeping back in. "Should we check that out?" Jenna asked, a flutter of apprehension gripping her. Ethan hesitated, his brow furrowed in thought. "Together?" Jenna nodded, her heart racing at the thought of venturing further into the unknown, but a sense of shared strength ignited hope within her. She couldn't shake the feeling that whatever awaited them could change everything. With the dog trotting at their heels, the two companions moved forward into the night, ready to face whatever challenge lay ahead. What would they uncover next? The underbrush crunched beneath their feet as Jenna and Ethan stepped deeper into the darkness, the dog trailing closely behind them. The air was heavy with tension and the distant sounds of the night, the rustling leaves, the chirping crickets, and now the ominous crash echoing in the distance. "What do you think that was?" Ethan whispered, his voice barely above a breath. "I don't know," Jenna responded, her heart pounding in her chest. "But it sounded close." They pressed on, moving cautiously toward the sound. A part of Jenna wanted to turn back, to retreat to the safety of her home, but something, an instinct or maybe a shared resolve, kept her moving forward. She glanced at Ethan, his face illuminated only by the faint glow of the moon overhead. There was determination etched on his features, something that reminded her of her own resolve. Suddenly, the collie lifted its head, ears perked up, alert to something they couldn't see. Jenna stopped in her tracks, instincts flaring. "What is it, boy?" she murmured, squatting down to meet the dog's gaze. Its eyes were wide with fear, but there was a flicker of something else, hope, maybe, or the desperate need for safety. "Stay close," Ethan said under his breath, and Jenna nodded, stroking the dog's neck gently. It leaned into her touch. The crash came again. It was louder this time, closer. It sent a jolt of adrenaline through them, and they exchanged another glance, this one filled with unspoken questions. What were they about to face? Jenna could feel a mixture of fear and excitement coursing through her. Stepping into the unknown with a stranger felt like both a bad idea and an act of daring bravery. As they moved forward, the shadows seemed to morph around them. Was it just her imagination, or did those trees look even more sinister in the dim light? She steadied herself, drawing strength from the dog now pressed against her leg. Then, all at once, the source of the sound came into view. Ahead of them, a fallen tree lay across the path, its branches twisted and broken. Beneath it, a faint whimper echoed. Jenna's heart sank. "Oh no," she breathed, rushing forward, instinct screaming at her to help. "Wait!" Ethan cautioned, but she was already there, kneeling beside the tangled mess. What she found made her gasp. A small creature, an injured rabbit, pinned beneath the twisted roots. Its back leg was caught tight, and it was struggling to escape. "We have to help it," Jenna said, looking to Ethan for support. "How?" "The branches are too thick," he replied, urgently scanning their surroundings as if searching for a tool or something to pry the rabbit free. "Look for something we can use," she urged, her heart pounding in time with the rabbit's frantic movements. It was so small and helpless, eyes wide with fear. In that moment, Jenna felt the weight of her own fears fall away, replaced by a fierce sense of responsibility. Ethan's gaze darted around until he spotted a sturdy branch lying a few feet away. "This might work," he called, darting to grab it. Jenna nodded, encouraging the rabbit softly, "It's okay, little one. We're going to get you out. Just hold on." As Ethan carefully maneuvered the branch to lift the tree's weight just enough, Jenna continued to soothe the frightened creature. They worked together, their adrenaline and shared purpose intertwining in the night air. Finally, with a triumphant tug, the rabbit was free. Jenna reached down cautiously, her fingers trembling slightly as she scooped the small creature into her hands, feeling its heartbeat against her palm. "We did it," she whispered, looking at Ethan, who was beaming with pride. But in that moment of triumph, they were both jolted by another sound. A low growl, deeper this time, angrier. They turned as the shadows shifted once more. "Do you hear that?" Ethan said, his voice suddenly serious. Jenna's heart raced again. What had they unleashed? "Stay close," she whispered, clutching the rabbit securely in her hands. And then, out of the darkness, a set of glowing eyes emerged, watching them. What had they just walked into? And what would that creature want from them now? Jenna's breath hitched as the eyes grew closer, revealing a sleek, mercurial figure, a large dog, muscles taut beneath a glossy, midnight coat. The growl emanated from deep within its chest, a sound that vibrated through the air, igniting a primal fear within both Jenna and Ethan. "Easy, easy," Jenna whispered, her voice steady despite the unease rising like bile in her throat. She instinctively backed away, holding the rabbit tighter against her heart. Its tiny heartbeat thumped wildly in response to the surrounding tension. "Let's just stay calm," Ethan suggested, his hands slowly shielding Jenna and the rabbit. The creature seemed equally wary, its posture tense, eyes narrowed as it measured them both. They took a tentative step back, but the dog moved closer, its growl deepening, a warning that sent a chill crawling down Jenna's spine. This was no lost stray, this dog was guarding something. Ethan shifted, his eyes darting around, searching for an escape route or better yet, a distraction. What if we wait a second? The treat's in my pocket. He exclaimed suddenly. Treats? Jenna questioned, incredulity flickering in her expression. Yeah, I like to carry some for my dog. Here, just are you insane? But before she could protest further, Ethan reached into his pocket and quickly produced a small bag. Trust me. It's worth a shot. The creature paused, its growl tapering into a low whine as the enticing scent of the treats filled the air. In that moment, something shifted, a glimmer of vulnerability in its eyes. Jenna recognized a flicker of hope, both for the dog and for herself. Perhaps they could build a bridge even between fear and trust. Okay, let us try it, Jenna said, her voice calming as she took a step forward, her heart racing. But be careful. Ethan nodded, kneeling down carefully. Hey there, buddy, he murmured, gently tossing a treat toward the dog. It landed a few feet away, and they both watched, breath held tight, hearts racing. To their disbelief, the dog stopped its growling, curiosity overtaking its previous aggression. It sniffed the ground, then slowly approached the treat, gnawing it cautiously. Jenna felt warmth bloom within her, a promise of connection even amid a world that felt chaotic. See? Ethan gave her a triumphant smile, and Jenna couldn't help but grin back. They shared a moment grounded in the little triumph of empathy over fear. With newfound trust building between them and the creature, Jenna extended her hand, palm open, a treat resting atop. Here, sweetie. You're safe now. The dog inched closer, hesitantly accepting the treat. Breath by breath, tension uncoiled from Jenna's shoulders, replaced by a fascinating sense of unity. This unexpected little family had built a bridge made of compassion in the dark. A soft whimper broke the night. Jenna turned her gaze to the rabbit, who still nestled in her cupped hands, eyes twinkling with gratitude. In that moment, Jenna realized this night wasn't just about her. It was about every connection they made, bridging divides through acts of even the smallest kindness. The dog, now finished with the treat, tentatively nuzzled Jenna's hand. Something in her heart grew, an understanding that kindness manifested not just in words but in actions too, moments stitched together like patchwork in the fabric of life. Just then, the night pulse changed again, shifting their focus as laughter echoed through the trees. Jenna and Ethan shared a glance cloaked in intrigue, a burst of joy illuminated the path ahead, much like the moon above. Someone else was nearby, celebrating connection amid their newfound revelations. Do you think, Ethan began, a new spark of excitement flashing in his eyes. Let's check it out, Jenna decided, filled with a sense of purpose. They moved as one, the once threatening woods transforming into an avenue of possibilities, each rustle of leaves a whisper of hope. As they walked side by side, Jenna's heart surged with fierce determination. They would stand together to create a space, one where everyone belonged, from frightened children to lost pets, every soul yearning for a place in the community. What laid ahead no longer felt daunting. After all, every heart had its own rhythm, and together they could find harmony even in the shadows. Tonight was just the beginning of a profound chapter, not just for Jenna but for anyone who needed to connect and belong. And in that moment, beneath the vast sky, a fierce resolve kindled in her heart, a hope that would ripple through the community she longed to nurture. Let us move forward, Jenna declared, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they stepped into the vibrant world unfolding before them, hand in hand with their four-legged companion, ready to embrace the light that shone just over the horizon. It was time to share their story, to give hope to those who felt lost, and to build bridges tonight that could lead to lasting change. Now, you need to get involved. This is where your support can make a huge impact. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss any of our exclusive stories. Leave a like now to supercharge our algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this transformative journey. Don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. True fans know how vital it is to support the channel through these actions. Let's bring the change together.